What's really good, my people? Welcome into Buckets, Action Network's daily NBA betting podcast. We're in the workshop Thursday, NBA slate. You know the deal. AC, Albert Wynn, Analytics Capper is with me. No J Money is money. He's getting over a little sickness. I am your host, Sean Little. You know the deal. We are presented by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Go download the Action Network app. Everything you need to know about betting sports is in that app. If you want to make money, that's where you start. Go download the Action Network app right now. You know the deal. We'll give the play, give the cap, get you guys out of here. It's a little two-man weave, and I got some making up to do for yesterday. AC and J Money, it's a little sweatless for the most part, W's, and then I took the Timberwolves, and they got smoked, so I got to bounce back. AC, Analytics Capper, give me your best bet for the Thursday NBA slate.
This one's going to be another gross one. I'm taking the Spurs first half plus 4.5 against the Bucks.
I'm going Nikola Jokic over 25.5 points. It's only 2 games, so we got to touch on both of them. We'll break them both down for you guys. All right, AC. The Bucks are on a back-to-back playing the Spurs in San Antonio. I will say this. The Bucks may just be happy they don't have to play the Pacers anymore. That's 4 of 5 losses against the Pacers. If they have to play those guys in a playoff series, I'm telling you right now, it is going to be a very, very tough series. That's just a bad matchup for the Milwaukee Bucks flat out. I think it's really interesting too. I was at the Knicks game as they took on the Bulls. I was talking to a couple folks, and the really interesting thing about the Bucks is that everyone's like, yeah, the pick and roll, no one's going to be able to stop it offensively, but more times than not, Giannis isn't too interested in setting screens. I don't want to set screens and play pick and roll. So it's a very interesting element that that's paying attention to the Bucks should keep an eye on. The pick and roll is unstoppable when they do run it on offense, but Giannis isn't interested in running the pick and roll as much as I thought coming in it would be. It should be common sense to just run the pick and roll all day, especially when it comes down to crunch time. But you bring Dame to run Dame time, but Giannis doesn't want to let him run game time because Giannis wants to be the man, and the man doesn't set screens coming down the stretch. So keep an eye on that in Milwaukee. But this is a really interesting matchup. The number has went down with the Bucks on a back-to-back. AC, talk to me about why you're on the San Antonio Spurs here in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk about the Bucks. You mentioned some of the really good conversation points about, pick and roll, how to close games, things like that. I hate the old adage about, defense wins championships, but no defense definitely loses championships. So we can talk about, their pick and roll offense. We can talk about who's going to end games. Is it going to be Giannis in the ISO? Is it going to be Dame time? It doesn't matter if they can't play defense. And this team just doesn't play defense. So it kind of segues into this pick for me. I don't think they can. I was looking at their record. So they're 24-10, second in the East. They are one of the best teams in the NBA, like no doubt. When you have Giannis, when you have Lillard, you're going to be one of the best teams in the NBA. That's already bar none. But out of their 24 wins, less than 10 of them have been wins where they've won by double digits. So they don't really blow teams out. They may score 150 on you, but at the same time, they're going to give up 145. So that's why I don't like how big this number is. I know San Antonio is struggling. They're only 5-28, but Milwaukee is on a second night of a back-to-back where they have to travel from Indiana down south to San Antonio. So I think they're going to go off and get off to a sluggish start. So instead of going, the Spurs plus 10 or plus 9, plus 9.5, depending on what book you're looking at, I'm just going to focus on that first half because I think the Spurs' energy, their youth, the pace that they play with, I think they're going to be able to score a ton of points on Milwaukee, and I think they're going to keep within this number. So I like the Spurs first half.
Yeah, last 5 games for the Spurs, 2-3 against the spread, 2-3 to the over. So recently they have been keeping it tighter than a lot of the experts or the books may think. Yeah, the Milwaukee Bucks are just a really interesting spot overall. I'm interested to see how they respond after coming off of another loss against the Pacers, even though it's a back-to-back.
Yeah.
Especially from the eastern side of the board, they're just trying to keep pace with Boston. That's the measuring stick for those guys. They want to keep pace to try to potentially get that number one seed. I'm interested to see how they bounce back. The Adrian Griffin at the head coaching spot is going to be a question throughout. But you're right, AC. The floor is now offense in the NBA, but you still got to play some D. You can't just go out there and try to score 155 every night. And that's what it looks like they're trying to do a lot of the time. Let's see how this shakes out in San Antonio on a 9-point number. Let's see where that number actually moves, because AC was locked in on the Hawks yesterday. The worst cover in the NBA is the Atlanta Hawks. AC sniped them against one of the best teams in the NBA last night. So let's see where the Spurs can show up here in a bounce back spot for the Milwaukee Bucks, who we're going to need a W, going to look to put up a big number, especially Giannis in this spot. All right, I'm going to the MVP, Nikola Jokic, or the two-time MVP, Nikola Jokic. I'm going to go over 25.5 points. This is an interesting spot, too. Let's talk about why I didn't go to the side first really quick. Nuggets, as an away favorite, are 6-9 ATS. That's 40%. They have the rest advantage against the Warriors in this spot as well, but that doesn't mean anything at the current moment. 2-3-1 against the spread with the rest advantage. Then you flip it over to the Warriors. 7-11 against the spread at home. So we're tracking both squads here, and some of these ATS numbers, they're not very positive. That's why I was staying away from the side. The one thing the Warriors have been covering the number is as an underdog. They're 9-4 ATS overall as an underdog. That's home and away. So I was like, I don't really find a spot. I don't see a spot I like here on the side. They played on Christmas Day, and if you watch that game and go back and want to watch it, it's actually a really fun game, back and forth game that Denver started the game early, looked really good. Golden State never really went away. Denver then gave up the lead in the fourth, then came back and closed it out and got the W. Jokic shot 18 free throws in that matchup. Overall, I like this spot against K. Looney. 3 of the last 4 games, he's versus the Warriors and Looney. Jokic has gone over this 25.5 point number. He's been on the glass incredibly as of late. He's been coming up short on the triple-double on the assist side, but scoring and rebounding, he hasn't been having an issue. I like this spot for Jokic against the Golden State Warriors, where on the road, they're going to depend on Jokic a little more than they typically do in Denver. I like this spot for him to score 26. AC, any thoughts?
Yeah, I like that look a lot. It's not only against Kay Looney, but I mean, Trace Jackson Davis has been getting a lot of run for the Warriors. Athletic, strong kid, but again, he's just a kid. He's just a rookie, so you can't expect a rookie to D up the 2-time MVP, right? So, and they're both undersized. They're both 6'9", 6'8", 6'9" at most, right? So, Jokic should have his way inside, and I think what we're seeing in this game, with the numbers so short, I kind of lean Golden State here, even though I don't like Golden State as a team. I think that the difference, Sean, between the Nuggets and the Warriors is this. The Nuggets can win playing their B game and C game. Like, they're good enough to win. The Warriors have to play their A game to win any team right now, to beat any team. So that means Steph Curry has to get hot from 3, or Klay Thompson has to get hot from 3. Whereas, it just takes 1 or 2 guys that plays well for Denver, just because they're such a good team to get the W. But it's a weird number. So I like that you're staying off the side and you're, backing the best player in the NBA, the 2-time MVP in Jokic. He's going to have the motivation spot, right? It's national TV. It's on the road. He knows he has the biggest mismatch out of anybody on his team for this particular game. So I like it a lot.
Yeah, and the number felt pretty right coming off the Christmas Day game last week, -3. It felt like a good number, and that's why I wanted to stay away from the side. And I feel like, as you mentioned, it's going to be a competitive game, and the more competitive the game is, the more I like Jokic to impose his will and especially start to focus on where he can get baskets. Jokic, just like a lot of other guys across the league, Brunson is another example. They don't want to score, but recognize very quickly when they're going to have to put up a big number for their team to compete. If this gets tight, I like Jokic to focus on the offensive side and look at that like 30 plus, push that 30 plus point number against the Golden State Warriors in San Francisco. All right, to recap, AC, the analytics capper is on the Spurs first half plus 4.5 against the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm on Nikola Jokic over 25.5 points in San Francisco versus the Golden State Warriors. Shout out our guy Jay. Get well soon. Hopefully I can pick up the squad. They went 2-1. I was the only L. Let's go 2-0 with my guy AC. Don't forget it. We are presented by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Go download the Action Network app right now. Everything you need to know is in there. As I always say, get buckets, baby. We'll see you guys tomorrow.